Very good evening to you. I'm Lisa Lord, and in our news, Barbados economy in recovery mode as it continues to meet IMF targets. Local tourism players monitoring the Liat situation. The government examines the feasibility of constructing a 10,000-person conference facility. And in sports, Kyron Pollard's Mumbai Indians win today's IPL via the 1-over eliminator.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC News Night, starting now.
And we begin our news tonight with this announcement made moments ago by Prime Minister Mia Motley. She has disclosed that Barbadians will soon have the opportunity to own television licenses. Ms. Motley was speaking at a ceremony to rename Nation House the Harold Hoyt and Fred Gollop Complex. Ms. Motley says the ability of members of the public to own shares and have influence in the media is critical. She says that she's against political parties owning sections of the media where they can inappropriately influence what people hear and see.
My government will shortly, through a public media exercise, invite bids for those who would want literally to be able to hold licenses. The holding of a license within the media should not be the subject of any privilege protection, but should be subject to adhering to open principles that are imposed on all persons, and the success or failure of each entity must be determined not by the government, but indeed by the marketplace and the quality of the media output that is provided for the people of the country.
And we will have more on that renaming ceremony a little later in our news. Well, the Central Bank of Barbados is maintaining a projection of slight growth for the Barbados economy for the remainder of 2019. They are predicting that the economy will grow between 0% and 0.25%. Now, the bank has also revealed that Barbados is on course to meet its targets for the end of March, as agreed with the International Monetary Fund. Our Ryan Broom joins us now to take a look at some of the numbers revealed by the bank's Governor Cleviston Haynes during the bank's quarterly press briefing this morning. Good evening to you, Ryan.
Good evening, Lisa. Good evening, viewers. Well, it was essentially a picture of recovery painted by the central bank governor, who admits the process will by no means be a short one. But he says the country is off to a good start. Governor Haynes says the island's macroeconomic environment continued to recover during the first quarter of 2019 as government focused on implementing the Barbados Economic Recovery and Transformation Program, or BERT. He adds Barbados' next major assessment by the International Monetary Fund will come next week. That's when an IMF team is due to arrive in the island. A successful assessment means Barbados will be able to make its second drawdown of $49 million.
There are, as you're aware, specific targets that we had to meet, targets related to our net international reserves, the net domestic assets of the central bank, the primary balance of government, the debt, the public debt. There are limits on the transfers to select enterprises, statutory bodies, and then there's a threshold for spending for social expenditures. Based on the provisional numbers that we've looked at so far, we believe that each of these targets will be met.
Governor Haynes says once that review is completed, the next tranche of funding from the IMF should be received by the end of June or early July after the IMF's board holds its meetings. Meanwhile, the central bank governor also addressed the issue of growth, noting that it will be driven by both new investment and diversification.
The new projects, including the Koimun Retail Store and the Sagicor Retirement Village, are expected to boost growth in the second half of the year. And the bank now estimates that overall growth will range between 0% to 0.25% for 2019. However, given the potential projects in the pipeline, a strengthening of the pace of activity is anticipated in 2020 and beyond as the structural reforms to enhance competitiveness and the ease of doing business take root.
Another revelation coming out of the press briefing was that government has recorded an increase in revenue.
Current revenue yielded almost $3 billion, or 29.3% of GDP. The new tax measures outlined in the June 2018 budget boosted the revenue intake, even though the resumption of timely payment of current year tax refunds offset some of the gains in revenue. Taxes on incomes were buoyed by improved performance in both the personal and corporate categories. Corporate income taxes benefited from the earnings of recently registered international business companies. Property tax receipts also grew, due in part to taxpayers taking advantage of the extension of the tax amnesty.
So, Lisa, the island is in recovery mode, hence the very slight maximum growth projection of 0.25% for this year. And just like a patient in recovery, our antibiotics and therapy will have to come in the form of new investments like the Koiman project, the Sagicor Retirement Village, and other major capital works. It's back to you, Lisa.
Thanks so much, Ryan. I appreciate that analogy. Well, the Barbados Tourism Marketing Incorporated is paying close attention to the developments surrounding regional airline Liat. This is according to Chief Executive Officer William Billy Griffith, who says the Caribbean market is a significant one for Barbados. He says this is one of the many challenges facing the BTMI, but it remains focused on the positive the island has to offer.
We are concerned if there is a reduction of air service out of the Caribbean into Barbados through Liat. We continue to have our eyes on the issues of Brexit. We continue to have our eyes on the U.S. market and any macroeconomic issues that affect our destination. We have experienced chikungunya and Zika, and we've got over our sewerage issues, but our job, as I said, at BTMI is not to be despondent about any of this stuff. We have to stay focused, and we have to stay focused on the business.
And Mr. Griffith was speaking to the media on the sidelines of a welcome reception for more than 200 delegates on island for Connect Barbados. He says that over 1,200 meetings are scheduled for the two-day event, where local industry players will interact with more than 90 overseas tour operators. And Ryan is back now, this time in our social media corner.
Well, good evening, Lisa. Good evening, viewers. Here's what's trending. This video, which has gone viral around the region, shows the moments as a St. Lucian man was rescued from choppy seas between his homeland and Dominica. Now, apparently the 30-year-old man went fishing with two others around 10 p.m. Monday night. But on the way back from St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the boat was reportedly hit by a huge wave and capsized. He was pulled from the water on Tuesday evening, but so far there hasn't been any trace of the other two men. We hope that they do get some good news on that soon. Well, that footage was shared with us by viewer Ursula from St. Michael. Now in the U.S., Attorney General William P. Barr has failed to show up for a Judiciary Committee hearing, and Democratic Representative Steve Cohen has taken him to task for chickening out, going so far as to place a fake chicken statue at his seat. But he didn't stop there. He also brought in a bucket of, get this, KFC fried chicken, enjoying a piece of the Colonel's secret recipe before the start of the hearing. Well, maybe Cohen decided to kill two birds with one stone and grab a snack while showing his disapproval for Barr. And the pictures have all now gone viral with the hashtag Chicken Bar. Now, I'm sure they must have surely ruffled the Attorney General's feathers. And now to a flight of a slightly different kind, speed. Bajan Mario Burke is still burning up the track in the U.S. at the recent Penn Relays in Philadelphia. The University of Houston student ran away with 4 gold medals in the 100 meters, and as part of the 4x100, 4x200, and the 4x400 meter relay teams. Well done, Mario. Well, if this young man in the following video keeps it up, we just might have another track star on our hands. Now that's little Neymar Small, who was participating in the Elmer Grant Road Race in Britons Hill on Heroes Day. And thanks to Michelle from Britons Hill for sending that video to us. And a few days ago, we highlighted St. Leonard's School student Kyle Cox, who has dreams of making a future in the tech business. Well, many of our Facebook followers were happy to see the spotlight on a young person involved in a positive pursuit. Let's see what they had to say. Zonia Straker says it's positive vibes, and she's proud to see what Kyle is up to. Now, she's hoping he continues to do great things. And Dion Grant is wishing him all the best in his future endeavors. And Isilma Bushel says his mother really should be proud, adding that he is a good example for other young people to follow. And we do agree. But Kyle's not the only one. This is Destiny Arthur, a student now of the St. George Secondary School, who was awarded for a number of achievements recently at the school's speech day. She's pictured here with Principal Dennis Brown. And during that speech day, the audience was treated to some performances from some of the talent at the school. Anyone remember this track? The Mad Comedians would surely be proud. And thanks to old scholar Sherville Harris for sending that footage in. And on that note, that's what's trending for this evening. Remember, you can find us easily on Facebook, Instagram, and by email. Lisa, back to that bar story. How do you like your chicken?
I just know that after that segment, you can tell me nothing about corny jokes in the newsroom anymore.
Oh, you are still the queen.
No.
You are still the queen.
Fail. Thank you so much, Ryan. Nation House now bears the name of its two founding fathers. Prime Minister Mia Motley was among journalists, media practitioners, and dignitaries who turned out for that renaming ceremony this evening. Shane Jones has more.
When you drive by Fontebelle now, you will see this brand new sign. Nation House is now the Harold Hoyt and Fred Gollop Media Complex. Named in honor of two of its founders, the late Sir Fred Gollop and Harold Hoyt, who was unable to attend. Another founder, Grenville Phillips, recalls one fascinating Harold Hoyt story.
On one of the many late evenings when I passed through the nation on my way home, I found Harold with the pre-pressed paper on his desk with a ruler in hand. I said, Harold, what are you doing with the ruler? He said to me, it is election time, so I am measuring the column inches to make sure that each side gets equal coverage. The paper must guard its independence, said he. That was the measure of the man.
The nation suffered many setbacks in its early years, and Prime Minister Mia Motley says they were both remarkable men to have come through it.
I can think of no better way to start to pay tribute to these two gentlemen. Both of them must be regarded as builders of Barbados. They took to the task at a time when absolute and utter courage was required.
Ms. Motley used the occasion to highlight the importance of government working with the media.
To be able, first and foremost, to continue to preserve the integrity of our democracy by affording in all manners of speech the information necessary for our citizens to go forward. And I say all manners of speech because even as we accept that more and more of our citizens are educated, we have to be able to speak to all parts of our population as long as they exist.
Members of the families of Sir Fred and Harold Hoyt accepted gifts for the work of the two men. Shane Jones, CBC News.
155th form students are now better equipped for the world of work and post-secondary school life. They have successfully completed the 6-month Preparing Today for Tomorrow's Challenges offered by the University of the West Indies Open Campus. The students were drawn from the Coleridge and Parry, the Ellerslie School, Leicester Vaughan, St. George Secondary, Grantley Adams Memorial, the St. Michael School and Frederick Smith Secondary Schools. During the program, they dealt with topics including presenting oneself and personal branding, effective communication, dealing with difficult people, conflict resolution, business etiquette, resume writing, and the interview process. Pro-Vice Chancellor and Principal of the UWI Open Campus, Dr. Luz Longsworth, says the program has been a success with more schools coming on board every year.
What started out as one school with Ellerslie and what I thought was a nice, small and manageable project has now grown into 7 schools in just 4 years. Yes, clap that. Yeah. I do not say this to boast. What I say is that this means that there is a very great need in our society here in Barbados for programs such as this one.
The Barbados Postal Service is moving to improve its postal security standards. Having recently attained silver certification, Acting Postmaster General Valletta Best says Barbados is now striving for gold with the S58 and S59 standards that cover security of post. The Universal Postal Union, or UPU, says developing measurable standards of security for the sector contributes to protecting postal employees and assets and postal items in general. Ms. Best was speaking to CBC News on the sidelines of a joint UPU and World Customs Organization security workshop at the General Post Office at Cheapside, the city.
Which speaks to security of post. So therefore our Office of Exchange, which is here at the General Post Office, must pass these standards, as well as the airmail unit at the Granny Adams Airport also must pass that standard. As a matter of fact, Barbados received silver certification for those standards, and we were actually the first country in the world to do so. So we're very proud of that. At the end of this workshop, we hope that we can at least exceed those standards, maintain or exceed, as we strive for the gold certification the next time.